I just realized something last night, and I wanted to share it here. I don't think I'm oversharing when I say this, although I run the risk of oversharing. It's something I think I have done before, but I don't think I'm doing it right here in this case. Anyway, people will decide for themselves whether I am or not. But I realized that I don't believe I've ever felt more alone than I do right now. And I wonder how widespread that is. I don't want to make this about me and, an analysis of myself and what's going on with myself. And I'm not, making making y'all my shrink as I lie down on the couch here of my car couch. It's more, I think, that I suspect that I'm not alone in feeling alone in this way right now. I will give a few more specifics about my own case. Now, let me say there are some exceptions to the rule. There are some, recent acquaintance, and there are some people that I have known for a long time who remain friends, and there's family as well, particularly my kids, that I still feel as attached to as ever. But I have recently found myself really kind of feeling more on the outs with people that I had before generally thought of as being people with whom I, was along the same lines, thinking in the way that we saw things, in the way that we examined things, in the way that the conclusions that we came to. I found that with the virus crisis, there are people who I know pretty well, who I respect pretty well, but who I found to my dismay seem to have drunk the Kool-Aid. And I find that that's really something, or I want to be fair here. It's not like it's all or nothing. There are people who, there's the sort of types of people who say, well, we've just got to stay in our houses forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, and you've got to wear your mask always. And if you don't do that, then I'm going to snitch on you, and you're a terrible person. And who say this with a great deal of vehemence, and these kinds of people, I don't think I would ever have been friends with in the first place. So it's on a, everything is on a continuum. And I don't want to make it sound like the people that I'm talking about here, who I felt, this greater distance from lately because in my assessment they've drunk the Kool-Aid. They're not that extreme, but they are sort of like, well, maybe the lockdown's a good thing in some ways because blah blah blah. And it's not really a violation of our rights, our fundamental rights. It's not really a violation of the Constitution because blah blah blah. And maybe we can believe the CDC. Why should we not trust the CDC and blah blah blah? And I know the blah blah blah, is shorthand for you can fill in the gaps there however you please. But I find that these kinds of statements, these kinds of sentiments, are things I really have a difficult time tolerating right now. Maybe that's the problem with me, but I just find that it's harder, and it's easier for me to. It's like there's a feeling of, it's irrational, but there's a feeling of betrayal when you think you're simpatico with someone and you find that there's this really something that you have determined to be this horrific menace about, and they don't really see it as that horrific or that menacing. Then, you kind of feel more detached and alone, and it's, I wonder if this is something that is not just in my case. That I'm wondering if this is something that is more widespread than that is, maybe already a problem in a society. We live in a society. Is that still a meme? I don't know. In a culture, I'll just say, where we are so much at odds with one another, and there's so little harmonic about our interactions with one another. But throw in something like this on top of it. Throw in this kind of pressing crisis that is, again, in my belief, in my assessment, and the way that I see things based on observation and analysis, is a largely manufactured, contrived crisis, taking the form of a power grab on the part of some very disreputable customers, I'll just say, on a massive scale with widespread ramifications. In some cases, meaning extending out to believing that there is a necessity of keeping people imprisoned indefinitely, not letting them assemble. All on this pretext that is so laughably overblown and so arbitrary when seen in the context of the last few years and the last couple of so-called pandemics. If we accept any of these things, any of this language, any of this terminology, any of these ideas, and I always just put out the disclaimer because I don't want to overstep what I know. I don't want to say that I know that the virus is a hoax, or that I know that the virus is real. I'll stipulate that it's real, okay? Because let's just stipulate, for the sake of argument, things that we don't really know one way or the other. However, given that there's been this massive, alarming, sudden concentration of power in the hands of people who I don't want anywhere close to power. People who I don't believe who I believe should be kept. I mean, you want to talk about being put on house arrest. I mean, I think these are people that, when it comes to power and control, they should be kept locked far away from any of the levers of power and control. And yet they're the ones who have it, and maybe people like that have always found their way to it. But now they have it in such a way that eludes the typical checks and balances, that evades the sort of typical intervening, what typically gets in the way of, or puts a check, puts a kind of hold on over their power. Now, I mean, they've just gone balls deep with their emergency powers. And there are people that I know that I felt were my friends and so forth, who just now don't see how desperate a situation this is, who don't understand, who don't comprehend. I can talk about it till I'm as blue as the shirt that I'm wearing. I'm as blue in the face as this shirt. It just doesn't seem to get through. And so there's this sense of isolation, greater isolation, this sense of being more alone than ever. And again, I just wonder how widespread this is and how much of an effect it's having, and to what degree it's contributing to the fraying of everything that's going on right now, the fraying of culture, the continuing malevolent or malignant, I should maybe say, division that we have. The isolation, the sense of isolation, the sense of just feeling like one is, I don't know, like the things that one thought one could rely upon before, and the people one thought one could rely upon before. They're just not. Their eyes are not opened to something that is so immensely awful. So I just wanted to try to articulate that a little bit, and in part the way that this way that I'm feeling right now is what's pushing me ahead, pushing me on to write, as I'm continuing to write about this matter in my continuing series, The Lockdown as a PSYOP. So I just thought I'd put that out there, and I thought I would just I'm curious to know if others have the same or similar reflections, similar experiences, or if maybe for others this is a galvanizing thing. Maybe for others you have a sense that you're coming together with others, that the blinders are coming off and people are finally seeing these monsters for who they really are. That's another way in which this could have an effect that this could be having in some cases. But in my case, it's unfortunately made me feel more isolated, more lonely, more alone, in spite of the fact that there are notable exceptions to this rule, as far as people I know and people that I've come to know recently and people that I've always known or known for a long time. Anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. My name's Andy Nowicki. You can check out my work at altrightnovelist.com or lowstatusnovelist.blogspot.com.